right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of Tome Talk, brought to you by blackdeserttome.com. It's been a great week. We got some exciting stuff going on with CBT1. See a lot of you faithful viewers have come back. We appreciate that. We got a good episode ahead for you. Today we're going to go and break down some stuff like the EXP changes that we've seen, the Vigor system. We're also going to do some more Q&A since that seemed to be a riot. And unfortunately, nobody else got the memo but Santa Zemi about dressing up for today. And we tried to do it last minute. But hey, this is what you get. How's everybody doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Doing awesome.
How are we all liking beta?
CBT1.
Yeah, so how is everybody enjoying CBT1 so far?
It's been extremely fun. I held on to my fishing title for 12 hours and then I passed out on the keyboard and someone took it from me, but, you know, dedication.
I feel your pain. I do. I still don't know how I was ranked 3rd for wealth in the server when I'd been playing for an hour and a half, but that happened. Kinu was really disappointed. He's like, what are you ranked 3rd for? What do you mean, what am I ranked? I don't know what I'm ranked 3rd for. He's like, you're ranked 3rd for wealth. I'm like, bro, I got 120 silver and 4 fish in my bag. I'm rich.
You know, I gotta say, for me, it has been it's been a bit rough. I gotta say, this had to have been the worst week for it to come out. I've just been so busy at work, you know, delivering presents, you know, to some of the other kids and getting presents set up, and Rudolph farted and it just, you know, it cleared out the entire workshop from all the elves. But you know, I've definitely been playing as much as I can.
So you mean to say it doesn't smell like candy canes?
Definitely does not smell like candy canes.
But so are you saying though that all the good little boys and girls are probably going to be getting BDO for Christmas?
It is definitely there's a chance. There's a chance.
I like to hear that. See, there's a chance. People just got to beg the right people and write letters to Santa Zemi, and Santa Zemi will see what he can do. I feel like I've just set you up for a whole bunch of spam mail that you really didn't want.
Probably.
Although, you know, you may get some interesting email. You never know. Maybe somebody's gonna be like, "I've been super good this year. Here's a $50 coupon for Starbucks, so you can get some milk and cookies instead of water and more water." All right, guys. So let's jump into this today. The EXP curve was increased in closed beta. How's everybody feeling about that?
I actually like it myself. I always thought that in Korea the EXP was really, really easy. I didn't learn things as much, but then again I didn't read everything like you should. But it seemed like you can spend about an hour, gain a couple levels, and you're done. Now it actually seems like you're leveling. But then again, you look at the side of this game that between 1 and 50, how much does that really matter?
I think it's definitely a lot slower than KR, but they really want you to build up your character. They want you to do those quests to level up, but also a little bit of grinding too. I'm okay with how long it takes. I mean, it could be a little bit faster, but really honestly, for somebody to already get to level 50 already, that's pretty nuts. Of course, they probably did not sleep, probably did not stop to eat. They just went hardcore the whole time.
See, I'm a little confused about that.
I think I'm like level 38 or 37 right now, and I've been kind of semi hardcore trying to level up, but I think it's fine.
See, my experience with that one was, I mean, as you know, because you called me a scrub earlier because I was level 15, and then I got my feeling hurt, and I went with Kinu, and I made it to level 25 in about an hour. So, we've lost Buzz due to some technical difficulties. But you know what? I found it interesting because I like.
Okay, so in that case, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick that up before. Here are my thoughts about it. So basically, I do agree that the Korean version was fast, but at the same time, you know, what I believe that a lot of people don't understand is once you hit 50 and 55 and up, there's there's a lot of grinding involved, and I am a little bit worried about that and the longevity of the game. Because for me personally, I have no problem grinding. Like I have no problem how it is now. I have no problem how it was in Korea, but I do have a bit of a worry that some people who don't like grinding and who have a problem with grinding are going to have a big issue because you've got to grind up to 50, and it is a lot more difficult than it was. It wasn't easy, and then they're going to hit 50 and they're going to be like, okay, well, I want to get to 55 or 52, since we're not going to have media, so it'll be 52 will be the thing everybody's gunning for. And you know they're gonna start grinding, and they're just gonna be like, what in the hell is going on? Like, I just spent all my grinding timed up to 50, and now I'm having to grind even more. And I think that people are just gonna get burnt out really, really fast, and they're just not going to enjoy it. And another thing to mention is that I do understand, oh, let's make it a little bit longer to get to 50, but to be honest, there's nothing really good in the game until 50. And I shouldn't say that, because I do enjoy some of the stuff. Like, some of the questing is enjoyable, but when it comes down to it, like, the in game starts at 50, and you still have to grind to get your gear. You still have to grind to get your enchants. You still have to grind to get to the 52 or to the 55, and that is no easy feat whatsoever. And I think a lot of people who, and no offense to anyone, but I think a lot of the people who are making a big stink about it being too easy to get to 50 is because they haven't actually gotten there, and they haven't actually been able to level past that 50 mark or past that 55 mark, and they don't understand the struggle it is to get to those points.
Right.
Okay, is my mic working?
Yeah, your mic's working.
All right. That was
So-
a senior moment. I apologize. I understand that current CBT that we have was basically copy and paste from RU. Things that I have experienced as far as problems with it. I'm currently about level 25, and Zemi knows the way I operate. I've got 95 energy and 83 contribution. I like to do the quest. For people that have not played Black Desert before, it's a different system. You level up by killing mobs and grinding. You don't do it by quests. Quests give you contribution experience. But the issues that I've ran into, and other people in the community and my viewers, is that since they've changed the time it takes to level, the quests have not been adjusted also. It's like any MMO, it's a lot of separate systems in the game. And when you tinker with one, it's going to throw another one out of balance. And right now, I know some of the things that they've added, like the 100 kill quest, that's kind of put in place to make you stay in one area for a period of time to try to catch up, but ends up becoming a gap for available quests with this current curve. Also, something that people need to realize, if you've played on Korea, you would, that the tutorial is 1 to 50. The game starts at level 50, like Zimmy said. And the time, even if it only takes, say, a couple days or 4 or 5 days with casual play to reach level 50, the real game begins at 50. And then the curve, it's steep. It's an algorithmic. So I think that hopefully they reevaluate that. I would personally like to see the leveling curve that we had in KR from 1 to 50. Maybe tweak it a little bit. I'm not opposed to that. But they also have to keep in mind that people are able to be the appropriate level for the quests if they choose to follow the quest line. That's really important. Another thing that I've noticed about the quests, and we'll probably cover this more when we get into the vigor, but they've also made a change in the crafting, the materials. For example, you get a quest in Delia to where you have to make a bronze or an axe. It requires, I believe, bronze ingots to make it. To make bronze ingots, you have to have 10. The soonest that you will get 10 is when you get around Glishy. And so there's things that they've changed that I don't think were fully thought out. That, like I said, personally, I would like to see them employ and use what we had in KR and make some small adjustments from that.
Right, and that's exactly the point behind a closed beta, though, and having the alpha, the beta, and the next beta, right, is to work out some of those kinks.
That's
I
all I
And
think
got
you
to
have
say.
to look at it with so it's either we have KR like system where it takes like 6 to 8 hours to level up to 50, or we can lengthen that time to be 2 weeks, let's say. I think no one's gonna be absolutely happy. We can't make everybody happy, so what the developers are wanting to do is find a happy middle ground. So that could be just tweaking that level curve just to turn it down just a little bit. I think is what they're trying to see if it's if it's too much or if they should tweak it down or tweak it even harder. But it seems like most of the community wants to shorten the time that it takes to get to 50 to get to that end game content. But some people they're like, oh, it's take a long time, or if it's too fast and you get to the end game and they're like, okay, so now I got to grind. The real grind starts, and then they get burnt out by that because they're just so overwhelmed because it's so different between KR leveling versus 55 to 60, and it's so drastic. Like when I got to 55 and I went to 56, I'm like, man, this sucks. This it just takes a long time, and it's a lot of effort that you have to put in that you're not used to putting in.
Well,
right
I
now,
agree with what you're saying, Sarzo, but that when you say the 6 to 8 hours to reach 50, that's if you're getting power level. A brand new player that doesn't have the equipment, it's going to take them longer, even in KR the way that it is. And I'm a big proponent, and I try to tell people this in my stream, that if somebody chooses to just grind their way and reach the level, fine, they can do that. But with the systems that are in place in the game, contribution and energy, it's really important, for people to get everything out of the game to do those quests.
so
Um,
with that,
so that's where I said my concern is the quests, the leveling curve needs to be balanced with the quests. And right now, the quests were designed for the leveling curve that's in Korea, not what we have right now. So they're either, the solution is to throw in some of those stopgap quests, the 100 kills, or to try to, find a balance. And I just think that right now with what we have, it's more difficult. And regardless of what they make it, you're going to have those hardcore gamers that are going to stock up on Red Bull and just, they want to be the first. They want to be server first to level 50. They want to be server first on that. And you're not going to slow them down. They're going to do it. I'm old enough now that I don't do it. I don't have it in me anymore.
so one of the things that I just realized is my mic wasn't communicating with you guys, so that's my bad. One thing that I do want to touch on with this whole thing, and I know that there's everybody in here, and that's why I love this group of people, has a different player dynamic. Buzz, I know that you play a lot of the quest lines and you do a lot of that stuff. I personally, my experience with closed beta and in the game so far, I enjoy questing, but I also don't mind a bit of the grind. I'd be happy to see a fair balance between the two. Maybe scaling in progression as well.
I'd agree. That's where I'm saying that's what's great about the game is that it's not the cookie cutter WoW clone. Everybody has what their play style is. They can play it how they choose, and I don't want that to change. You're not forced to follow the quest line. It's more of an aid to steer you in the right direction in the area that you need to be. But like I said, with the quest, that's the number one way of getting contribution. And there will be people who say, okay, I don't care about contribution. I'm just going to farm to get my gear and get silver, and I'll buy it off the auction house. That's great. That's their choice. And I'm not trying to say that they should force anybody into a certain play style. I would just think that they need to, especially considering and this is from Pearl Abyss, their position, that the game starts at level 50. And the tutorial is that process of going from 1 to 50. And I thought it was a great system. and I would like to see that on the Western release.
Right. I totally get where you're coming from with that too. Cyrus, I know you had something to input in there before I jumped in with my mic.
Yeah. I noticed when I first started playing, I was a little bit ahead of the curve just because some people were having connection issues. But I noticed that, in World Chat, everybody was having issues of killing mobs at the beginning. Like, there was no mobs to be found, so they continue their quest. That's why I went the route that I did, where I just did my first, few quests, that are required to be done, and then go out and grind so I can go ahead and level up. And then when I get done leveling up, you can come back and do those quests without having to worry about everybody else trying to do those quests too. So I don't know how they're going to solve that problem. I don't know if they had, some game masters out there like spawning more mobs, but that's definitely going to be a huge issue once it comes release. If it was an issue for CPT1, it's going to be terrible on release.
Right. Zemi, I know you had something to put in on that whole thing.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out, and this kind of goes with, I guess, like, server progression as a whole, is, I do understand that, people do want a bit of more difficult grinding experience to get to 50, and that's fine. That's totally understandable. And I do get that, and I'm fine with them tweaking the original KR version and making it go up a little bit more, but keep in mind, the more difficult you make it, and the more you make it take longer, it means the higher chance you have of having to sit in one spot for longer, which means more people are going to show up to that one spot, which is then going to cause congestion in those farming spots, and then you're going to have issues where people are going to end up spending, hours at a time not even getting anywhere, because they're too busy PvPing. And I have no problem with PvP, obviously. I have no issue with PvP, but, one of the complaints I had from one of my guildies recently was, because PvP is unlocked at level 30, I'm still fairly against that. And, part of that is because I play a ranger class, and rangers are just garbage until 37, and even then, they're not even good until 41, which they can, at that point they can actually fend for themselves. But because the way classes work and how some classes are, you're going to have issues where people are just going to be able to steal mobs, and there's nothing other players can do about it. And, for instance, a guildie of mine, was at a farming spot. He plays a Sork, and, as we know, Sorks are very high bursty single target damage, but their AoE is kind of meh when it comes to PvE, especially. Had a tamer come walking in and just wrecking his group and just constantly stealing his shit. So he ended up fighting him, but because PvP is unlocked at such a low level, they spent 45 minutes fighting each other and not killing each other because it was just a pot war. And I don't know, if they don't fix the grinding, you're gonna have issues. You're gonna have too much congestion in the grinding zones, and then you're gonna have like 30 people all fighting for one spot, and nobody's getting any leveling done, and therefore your server progression just stops.
Yeah. I'm going to jump off topic and take one of the questions that we pulled out of the stream. Estoka posed the question, how does the panel currently feel about the representation of the community on World Chat during CBT1?
Oh man, the World Chat. Honestly, I'm gonna be real honest about this. World Chat I had to turn off. World Chat has been fairly awful for just like reading it. It hurts my brain sometimes. This is this issue with a public forum, and honestly, my best suggestion to new players is try to avoid World Chat as much as you can, because you're gonna have trolls who are just gonna constantly run their mouth and know nothing about what's going on, and come off as that they know what they're talking about, but they don't. So honestly, I turned World Chat off. I actually have it on right now because I had to reinstall the game, and even then, as you guys know, I was complaining earlier. I was just like, why am I reading this? What is going on?
Yeah, I've seen the up and I've seen the down so far in the World Chat. I turned it off the other night, honestly, and the only reason I turned it off the other night was because I haven't seen Star Wars yet, and the spoilers were rolling out, and I'm not even going to lie about it. I don't want the spoilers. I'm like la-di-da-di-da, my own little world here. I'm going Christmas Day. It's going to happen. I don't care. But I've also seen some actual helpful responses in there, and I've also seen the other side of that where people are... I think the problem with the world chat in closed beta with a bunch of new players is that it's the same question being posed every 5 minutes a lot of the time.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, like most, I think the general popular, like most of us, just turned it off. It was too difficult to read, too difficult to watch, especially that first day. I mean, it just going and going and going. You post a question, it's already gone out of the chat log before you can look at it again. But there is that diamond in the rough every now and then. There is that certain people that are actually there wanting to help. But if you're actually a new player and you want help, go find a guild. That's going to be your best thing to do to get help in that game.
Go
Do
find an
not
experience
rely
guild.
on world chat. That thing there is just going to be too difficult to comprehend at the moment. It has calmed down a little bit. It's a little bit better now than it was at release, but just stay away. You're not going to like it. There's too many trolls there. It's just nothing good.
Yeah, I think honestly that they should increase the energy usage for using world chat. That'll really tone it down.
Well, point that out just real quick, because I know Buzz has something to say. Is people? A lot of people don't even realize that it costs energy to sit there and spam and chat.
Yeah.
So they have no idea what they're doing. And not to mention now, there was a point. I honestly I haven't talked in World Chat enough to even maybe I should test it at some point. But I do know at one point in Korea, it was 1 energy to talk in World Chat, and then after that, it cost multiple per use after that. So you couldn't just sit there and spam World Chat. And I don't know if it has that in the Western version, but that was definitely how the Western version was.
I'll just be real quick with what I have to say. Now, 2 points that Zemi brought up. With the energy, whenever I try to answer somebody's question, I will send a whisper because I'm using my energy for quests and whatnot. As far as people, it's not just join or find an experienced guild or community. There's good streamers that have been out there. Zemi, myself, Ghost when he's on, and I know that we go out of our way to try to answer questions. Unfortunately, with the hype of CBT, we kind of get buried down behind the bigger streamers that are just new to the game, and I think that's great that it's given the exposure to it. But try to find experienced streamers. But overall, like Zimmy says, I avoid it. I typically ignore it for the most part and don't pay attention because I'm paying attention to my stream. And it's so toxic, the best way I can describe it is it's Barons 2.0.
I think that's a very fair descriptor. I'm going to move on. I got another question that came through out of the stream for you guys from Costco 420. It was asking questions regarding the castle and node siege system. Who wants to take a stab at that one first? I want to see hands. Hands. Oh, okay. All right, Santa Zemi, and then we're going to roll with Buzz. We're going to do this classroom style for this one.
All right, so what was the original question, just so I can look at it real quick? I do not have it on my screen at the moment. What was the original question?
I just want to plug in real quick, and I'll say what I have to. Watch, was it last week's episode that we discussed it? Shameless plug for the YouTube channel. But then, Zemi, you go ahead because you have the most experience with it. I believe the question had to deal with the sieges.
The question, guys, from Costco 420 was discussing the castle and node siege system.
Okay, so oh man, to try to answer this as quickly as possible. So the node system and the siege system, they have seasons, and depending on the seasons, depending on the rule set. So basically, the current rule set in the KR version right now. Now I don't know if they're changing seasons sometime soon. They should be around now, or maybe just next month or something like that. But they will be the season currently is you can only build a tower in one territory or on one node in the beginning, and then once you have won either the territory or the node, then you'll be able to build 2 towers the next week, and so on and so forth. So in cases, as a prime example, one of the guilds that we were allied with, or even one of the times we won the territory, we built a tower in Serindia, and then we won Serindia, and then after we won Serindia, then we turned around because you still have your tower built in Serindia because it didn't get destroyed. We then built another one in Belanos, which is Velia Town, for those who don't know. So then we had 2 towers that we could defend. Now, this also carries over to the node wars as well, where you build a tower on a node, and then once you have controlled that node, then you will be able to build a second tower on a second node. However, those nodes, if I remember correctly, they have to be connected to the original, so you have to be really, really careful. And then so far and so on and so forth. Now, keep in mind, like as a territory guild, being able to control more than one territory is very, very difficult, and you definitely have an alliance. You have to have an alliance anyways to own a territory. But to own a more than one territory, you're gonna have to have an alliance, and you're gonna have to have the entire alliance agree that you own 2. So it's very rare for it to happen. And nodes, on the other hand, is a little bit of a different story. You can have multiples, and solo. That's kind of, node wars are kind of for the smaller guilds than anything. So,
All right.
that pretty much discusses everything. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull another question from our community manager, Jouska. He's asking panel, what are your thoughts on the EU player who has reached level 50 and has a 15 euro in less than 96 hours? Buzz?
One, I'm concerned about it. As far as reaching level 50, not so much, but to be able to get that many black stones, and that's an area of concern as far as if they were legitimately acquired, as far as farming and the tokens. But if that's going to be the case to where somebody's able to do that, my personal opinion is it's bad. And hopefully they're able to look into and see if it was legitimately acquired. Being able to level that fast, I don't think is that big of an issue, because if you've seen, all other MMOs. But to be able to have gear at plus 15, that screen, I read text, in that period of time, I don't think that's good, because then they are just sitting and waiting. Even if we go with plus level 50 for PvP to be enabled, he's just going to be sitting and waiting, and the gear, he'll destroy somebody.
I honestly don't have an issue with it. This guy, he's going hardcore at this game, and he's the kind of person that wants to be the first guy that did this thing. And so he became the first guy that did this thing, and now you can see it in the ranking system, with under growth, having a plus 15 area. I would assume that he had an alt at the auction house with the marketplace notification on for the weapon Blackstones. And so when that pops up, he switches to his alt, buys the Blackstone. There probably is a way to get it faster than others. I don't know, it's obviously probably against, terms of service, but whenever I tried to camp and try to grab one of those weapon Blackstones, I wasn't fast enough, and that was kind of frustrating for myself.
Myself, this is pretty much like the guy we were talking about earlier. He's the one with all of the monsters just sitting there at the desk, putting all the time that he can. He opened up his time to get all that free time in there to get himself leveled up. For the weapon itself, I don't see that it's going to be too difficult to do. He might have been spamming into chat, hey, if this drops, for all you new people, put it up on the marketplace. I'll buy it off the marketplace when you get a chance. I'll take care of that. I want that. I want to get up there. I want this weapon to be a high ranking one. I mean, I can see it very, very much. I can see how that can happen in just 96 hours. 96 hours of staying on monsters and not sleeping very much. That's a lot of time to get a lot of stuff done. I the XP thing, it looks like it didn't bother him. You know, he had to solo farm because that party XP completely destroys. But it's perfectly viable. Now, does that concern me and myself? Not really. That's a guy who freed up time for himself. I don't imagine he got the Blackstones myself, like, in a bad way. I think he probably just got it because he was informing new players that he could pay them for it from the marketplace and etc. But yeah, that's just kind of what I think about it. Congrats to that guy, but I know I wouldn't have went that hard in beta.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
shit.
Who knows? It could be multiple people playing that account. We don't know. We just assume it's one person playing for 96 hours straight.
Zemi,
Yeah,
what are
well-
your thoughts on that?
Okay, so there's a few things that he probably did. One, so some don't know. There's actually a house that allows you to make blackstones. Now, getting the material will probably be a little bit difficult, but there are houses that allow you to actually craft the blackstones. Another thing is a lot of what some people don't understand, and this is just coming from an experienced player, is or like an old player from original OBT, is the problem is we have a system in place currently that has been changed since the original setting from 1 to 50. So getting to plus 15 is very, very easy compared to how OBT originally started. When OBT in Korea started, it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. To even get a plus 10, plus 11, plus 12, things like that. And there were very few. I remember being 51, 52 on my warrior, and even then, like I don't remember. It was a very select few people who had plus 15s, and I think it was like Hellgate or something, who were one of the original first guilds to fucking own territories. Sorry, and to own territories, and they so they were very rare at getting that, and then something happened around Media. Something happened around Media where when they increased it to a plus 20, they ended up increasing the success chance of getting to plus 15 very, very easily. And it has changed, and we currently are running that system. I wouldn't mind actually seeing the old system back in place, but I do understand that it's going to be very difficult to be able to kind of revert that change, whereas you don't change the other patches, because I have noticed that a lot of the patches have changed a lot of things, and just try to change one thing may screw things up in the future, or kind of conflict with the other stuff. That being also said, I mean, just in general purposes, I mean, you can get blackstones from chests, from keys and whatnot, so from fishing. So while he's taking a nap, he can sit there and, auto fish and get keys, and then go find the chests and unlock the chests and get money and get freaking blackstones and stuff like that. And, there are many ways, not to mention he can get enough titles or whatever to be able to get extra luck, and then put luck gems in his gear, which will then also give him, more luck to get blackstones. I mean, it's easy to get 5 luck, if you know what you're doing. So.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop doing the question and answer section for a few moments. And I'm going to move on to another hot topic that I know has been posed. It's always great when your mouse decides to slide halfway across the desk. Let's talk about the vigor system change and how processing now takes vigor. Kinu's already got his finger out. Kinu, let's start with that.
The vigor system itself, for processing, I don't mind it too bad. I didn't play much with the KR for the crafting, but looking from an aspect of, in the past crafting for KR, you could do it just if you had the materials, correct? All right. So in this sense here, I can see it as a good way to stop flooding the market with materials that you can just buy now. This way, I think it might actually hold that back, and things might be worth a little more. Now, will this make it a little bit too more expensive now in this economy? Is it going to make it better in this economy? I don't think we're ever going to find out in a beta. Something like this, when you change it such a drastic, you're going to need a couple weeks of testing. but what are we going to have to compare it to besides the KR? Different player base. They're going to be buying different things than we're going to be buying. So I don't know. It's a little bit different. I myself don't mind it. I kind of like the other way better. At least things won't be flooded. That's kind of what I think about it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Kenu. I think it's because I don't process that much stuff. I'm not spending all my night time, making beer or making food, but I can see that, there's going to be a low supply of, especially like siege meals, like the Serendia or Calpheon, dinner, where it gives you some ungodly powers when you're in siege taking that stuff. And if there's a low supply, that means it's going to be so much more, costly. But is that something that still can be managed? I'm just not sure. But from my perspective, how I play the game, I don't mind it. I'm going to be out there grinding mobs and doing things that don't require that much energy.
Wow, this is a huge thing, and there's a lot of areas of concern. The Vigor energy system is not just for crafting. There are quests that you will have to use energy in order to interact with NPCs. Getting knowledge requires it, and this is another touched in with like the balance. The game is so complex that when you tinker with one part of it, it's going to affect so many other things that were not intended. Along with the change, I'm not opposed, and I do think that they needed to put in a system to slow down people from just making unlimited amounts of beer and food, because that's just literally printing silver. They need to put a valve in it to slow it down. But by requiring energy for the processing, that's going to affect sieges, because all of the materials to build the tower are processed materials, and that's going to affect that part of the game. It's also, like I said, there's so many things that it will be, and I know that the biggest fear, and I don't want to go overboard on it, but everybody that's in my community and on my stream, the fear is a repeat of Arcage with the labor potions. And that's something that really needs to be addressed. And I know for me personally, we're still waiting for the cash shop. I know that Vigor potions are available on the cash shop in Korea, but I've never had to use them. I've never needed them because of the system. If it ends up becoming a barrier that in order for me to do quests, say for example, just if you're trying to do the crafting quests, the alchemy quests, all of those quests, you run out of energy and vigor. So that's blocking me. Where it's an example where I said that unintended consequences of changing the system. If what they were trying to do was adjust the people from just printing stuff non-stop, then find a solution for that. But by the system they have in place, and I've talked with people, and I it's a problem that needs to be worked. I don't know if the solution would possibly change it from 1 energy every 3 minutes to 1 every minute while you're online, but I really think it will be a huge mistake, and it could be a mistake that be irreparable if the solution will be to sell energy potions. It would be a huge, huge mistake. And I really hope, I understand that Daum has to make money. They have to make a profit. They've invested money in Pearl Abyss to develop the game. I'm not opposed to that. But I hope that they are looking at a long-term investment, because I'm passionate about the game. I think that Black Desert has the potential to change the way MMOs are developed. But if they go down that path that other companies have, then for me personally, I'd have to say that I will find another game, because I don't want to relive that experience.
Now, the energy for the quest and all that's something that actually slipped my mind. That is absolutely true. That is kind of makes you feel like you're playing one of the phone games where you can do so much things and then you're done. you have to wait 15 minutes until your stuff recharges. Wow, what am I playing this game for if I got to do that? It kind of gets to a point where you're like, I'll just, shuffle and do this instead, I guess. I don't want to do that. But it's kind of a holdback, like you said, from completing things. You feel like you have to wait now. And with the XP changes as it is, you're still waiting long enough, so you're going to have this much more wait time in it. I don't agree with that part there. That part there I am very opposed to. I'd like that to be changed. It's interesting how that got affected too. I wonder if that was planned or it had to have been, I'd imagine.
Right.
My guess. Well,
I'm gonna cut you off there, Zemi. I know you got something to add into this whole conversation.
Okay, so I'm a bit for it, and I know this is a very unhappy response to this because everybody's like, what? But I'm actually for the changes because here's the thing. Like, I have many people in my guild, and I know if anyone in my guild is watching who does this, I love you. I'm sorry, but I do love you. You can make money other ways. Because a lot of them just we get a lot of people in the guild who make hundreds of thousands, millions upon millions of silver AFK crafting. And I don't think that's a good game design. Like, I really don't. To be able to sit there and to be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna sit here and make millions by making this or making that, and processing. Like, I think it's kind of bogus. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I am a offender of the AFK fishing, but at the same time, like, you cannot make as much money AFK fishing as you can with processing things. And I think it's a bit I don't know. I feel that it ruins the gameplay when someone can sit there and make millions of money, millions of silver, sitting in the town where other people are having to go out and kill mobs and have to work for their money. Because at that point, you're going to end up running into an issue where everybody's going to learn about this, and so they're just going to sit in town, and then you're going to have nobody in the world. Now, am I saying that it should be the way it is? No, I'm not. Can they tweak it to make it a little less painful? Sure, okay, but the way it is in Korea, I think it's a bit unfair, because right now the amount of money you can make with AFK processing and stuff like that is insane, and there is literally no risk involved whatsoever. And I think that, to me, is a very, very big issue, and it's poor game design. So I'm happy that they did change it, but I will agree maybe they should change it a little bit more to make it a little less impact. That being said, though, going to what Buzz said about the vigor pots and everything like that, I am very, very worried about that. Because the way the system is right now, it is an easy way to be like, oh, hey, well, you can make this faster by buying potions and stuff like that. And I think the Western community, I mean, I don't want to speak for the entire Western community, but I think I can safely say that the Western community is very, very tired of a pay-to-win game. And I think what Dom does, coming out with the cash shop, is either going to make or break the game. And I love this game and I want to see it successful, but if they make the cash shop insane, like Arcade, or even less, or even like the Korean version, you're going to have an issue. And I do believe, I fully believe that the Western community is going to go up in arms and be like, no, we are done. We are tired of this. We don't want this. This is just insane. And I know Dom needs to make money. Like, I'm a developer myself, and I understand this. I understand, and they need to find a middle ground. I mean, personally, I wish they would have came out with a monthly payment, because I think people are very, very ready to do a monthly subscription again. And I think the developers need to realize that.
I just wanted to touch. I agree with what Zemi said, that there's a problem in Korea, that people are able to they get the materials and they can sit there by the warehouse or in their house if they have the box to access it, and literally just make the herb pots nonstop, and it's printing silver. That is a problem, but the solution that they've chose to go about fixing it has affected so many other things, and that's the problem that I have with the system, along with if the answer is going to be through spending real money on the cash, as far as to fix it.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna pull a question out of the stream that I think has a valid point on this whole thing. Jesters was asking about what about if they threw the option to craft those pots into the game instead of per se being on a cash shop.
Issue I would see with that, I'm sorry, SARS, I did see that you're up first, but how much energy is it going to cost to craft it? Is it going to be a net gain, or are you going to lose? That's one of the issues that people say about with regaining energy is, oh, you can go out and do daily quests. Well, when the daily quest is to collect 30 logs and you only get 5 energy return, that's still a net loss. But I apologize, SARS.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna just say, like, let's look at this as we don't know what it's gonna cost, but it's a solution to it not being a pay to win pot. That's kind of where I'd like to see that going. Everybody's concern is that we're gonna have a cash shop item, and it's gonna be pay to win. We're gonna go into another pay to win situation. Let's say that this is a solution that you're able to craft it in the game. SARS, what's your thoughts on this?
So being able to craft vigor potions, I'm kind of against it, because let's say you have these 3 materials, 2 of these materials are super hard to get, and it's more costly to create it. Well, let's say you have these group of players who make a lot of money, they create these pots, and they just feed it to their own guild. They don't even list it on the cash shop, but they have it in their own guild auction house. I don't know why I said cash shop, I meant auction house, but that's gonna create that bigger gap, because they're starting to be able to get their energy back to do more, to create that bigger gap between yourself and other players. And I'm just afraid of that gap, because I experienced it in Arch Age, where I was on the bottom end and it was not fun at all.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. I am. It's not a bad idea. But at the same time, you need to make it some type of. You need to make it. Here's the only way you can do it properly. I think is make it to where if you're gonna say you're gonna make 10 energy an energy pot that gives you 10 energy, then no offense, but it needs to cost 10 energy to make, because the problem lies is where you have guilds that require people to feed their guild leaders or feed their officers and do all sorts of things like that, where it'll be abused, and it'll get to a point where they're just going to figure out, because remember, they still have the trading pots, right, guys? They still have where you can trade pots.
Correct.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So, there you go, right there. There's a huge problem right there. So what they'll do is they'll force the newbie guys and stuff like that, where they're like, hey, if you want to be in our guild, you need to give us all your energy pots. And then they sit there and they craft them like good little soldiers, and they craft the pots, and then they give them to their GM or whatever the hell, and then you're gonna have a problem where people are getting fed. And everybody remembers Arcage. Arcage was one of the worst games for people to take abuse, to abuse their guild members, and to sit there and require feeding is a requirement to be in the guild, and you run the risk of that. So the only way to really make it worthwhile is to sit there and make it cost the same amount. So if a person's going to do that, or if a person's going to try to sell them and stuff like that, it's going to cost money. So a person who is going to try to make energy pots for their own use is not going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of that could also work is use it as a reward. We haven't really experienced rewards yet in CBT, but in KR, if you reach this certain milestone, you get a reward. And so maybe an energy pot could work. So everybody can achieve this objective, get an energy pot. Or even if something some technical glitch in the game happened and we're down a day, like, energy pots would be great for that as compensation.
Oh, but I absolutely love the idea of the pots costing the same amount of labor. That is a great idea to do it. You can spend the time, make the pots, pick a day. This is the day I'm going to craft everything that I can. Just keep popping those pots, and then you got it. It makes it so this system might actually work in that sense. And also, if you don't have nothing to do with your energy, make the pot, sell the pots, there's your money. It works. That's a good way to actually put that in there.
It also make people second guess to, okay, well, if it's going to make me feed the GM, I'm not going to waste my energy doing that. I'm going to go find a real guild that's going to allow me to, be a player in the guild and be worthwhile instead of, having to be the little grunt that has to feed them, So I think, having that type of, steep cost will make people, second guess doing that.
I agree. It'd be like a battery.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump into something else just to get into the topic of CBT1 and things that we have seen. We've noticed Darker Nights and several events that have been rolling out over the last couple of days. See, look at the excitement. Look at that excitement. I didn't know what to think. I'm just going to throw this out there. It got really fucking dark, and I didn't know I had a lantern, and I got killed by bees. I'm going to say it. I'll admit it. I'll be the first person to admit it. Everybody in the fucking channel heard it. I died to bees.
All I can say is imagine doing a siege in complete darkness, and you don't want to put on a lantern because you want to be sneaky. Now put in that in your pipe and smoke it.
Are there going to be bees in this siege? Because if there's going to be bees, it's going to be a wipe. I'm just saying right now. All right, those bees are sneaky at night.
Sorry, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, those I gotta say, those bees are really awful. Even during daytime, you put it in really dark, and it's just like, I can't say anything. Bees.
That's when you just run. Now, but the Darker Nights, it was very, very cool. I was out killing some frogs in a swamp. I didn't know what was happening. It was snowing once, and all of a sudden it just got dark. It was raining, and all I could think is, oh my god, I wish I was sieging right now. I feel like I'm in Lord of the Rings right now or something. This is amazing. So I was there, I had some music going, I was killing everything, and I was like, I am a god! And then the real god, which is one of those really powerful mobs that you get once in a while spawns, ended me in 2 strikes. I didn't even see him coming. Scariest thing I've had. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool because in KR we didn't have Darker Nights, but when it became nighttime, the monsters, you get more XP from monsters, but you don't really get that feel that you get more XP because it's still kind of bright outside. So when it's darker and you have this, it's a lot harder to defeat these monsters, so you get more of a gratification from killing these monsters, and you feel like you're getting more XP even though you're actually probably not.
What I was going to say with the Dark Knights, and I loved when Jessica came in and he demonstrated all of the storms and then the snow and whatnot. We've missed that for a long time. It brought back memories to me back in 1999, playing EverQuest on Rallo Zek, made a human, which was completely night blind. And, dark elves, they could see at night. The trolls and the ogres, they could still see at night. And I remember sitting in a hut whenever it would be dark, next to NPC guards, waiting for the daylight to come out because the dark elves were out to kill me. I played on Rallo Zek, and that fear of it being so dark that you run into a tree and you don't see it. I love that. It creates an immersive world, and I really hope they continue to have that. That was one of the best changes that I experienced from Korea to what we've got right now.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I'm a little bit of a graphics whore when it comes to stuff like that. The snow was fucking, oh, I did it again. The snow was beautiful. I was absolutely impressed with the way that it rolled out smoothly when he came in and did that. Gonna go. I'm just sorry, guys. I'm getting all these little pop-ups. I'm going to roll over to another question. We are going to go over our time limit today, ladies and gentlemen, because CBT won. That's it. That's it. It's been decided. And you have to bear with my one-handed ass as I scroll back up to my next talking point. Yes. Let's talk about... Sorry, guys. This is fucking really professional. I'm falling apart. Let's talk about the CBT change of Guild War declaration costs. It has recently went from 1 million to 150. I'm going to start off with Santa Semi. Sorry, dude. I'm like falling to pieces all of a sudden.
Oh, you did lose a finger.
I did lose a finger, and a bunch of people keep talking over where I left my cursor. It's not good.
I'm gonna fill up your stocking with coal later. Don't worry.
All right, so Zemi, what are your thoughts on the recent decrease in declaration costs?
Kudos to them, man. It was actually one of our talking points. What, last week? Was it last week? I think.
Yeah.
It's one thing that was a bit of a concern, and props to Dom on that, for listening to the community of it is good that they allowed that they are bumping down the price, and I do hope they stick with it, because it is going to help the smaller guilds be able to participate in wars, and I'm glad that they got rid of the upkeep. So kudos to them. I definitely applaud them listening to the community on this one, because 1 million was a bit steep, especially in the beginning, and especially at the beginning it's just awful. Them allowing small guilds to be able to participate in PvP and stuff like that is really, really, really good, because I can tell you right now, especially in the Western scene, even in the KR, it was a bit abused. We would, use that upkeep to have that little small guild declare war on the bigger guild, and we were just like, you ain't even worth my time. I'm not even declaring back. We're just gonna drain your money dry, and watch you go broke and laugh at you. So, I think it's good.
All right, Buzz, what are your takes on this whole?
I think that first off, they lowered it for closed beta to allow guilds to experience it. I'm not sure if they intend to keep it on launch. Like Zimmy said, it was a system that could be abused. I know that they have a maximum limit of the number of guilds that you can declare against. A system that I would like to see, as far as maybe a potential solution, is that an increasing cost for the number of declarations you have. So say the first declaration is a certain price, then if you declare on another guild, it will be a higher, and then the third will be higher, and the fourth will be higher, to stop the large guilds from abusing the system. I kind of think that I'm in the position of a middle ground. I think the current prices are way too cheap, but also on Korea, I think that their prices and maintenance are too expensive. Zemi remembers this when they first did their change. This is something for players that haven't played before need to understand. Pearl Abyss, Daum, has the way of going to extremes. So if they make a change, they go way off to one direction, and then they'll start to pull it back and become reasonable. They don't do a small incremental, let's see, and then let's see. So the players need to be aware of that and be patient, but they do listen, and they do make adjustments and feedback. So that's kind of my position. I like it, but I think that it still needs to be tweaked a little bit on release. But I think it was a good thing, especially with the limited time that we have in closed beta. Guilds don't have the time to build up a large fund to go out and do the declarations.
I think it would be really cool if, instead of having a one set cost, like maybe it's a portion of, or a percentage of your guild funds. Well, not your guild funds, more like your guild level. So let's say you have a guild level 5. maybe it costs 25,000 to start a war, but if you have a guild level of 50, I'm just using numbers as an example, maybe it costs, like 3 million to do a war, but it'd be interesting instead of having a set cost to keep it, based on percentage. But that's just my opinion. I'm not a guild leader, so I don't have experience with declaring wars, but from a objective standpoint, I think that would work too.
All right, Kenny, what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
The decrease, I'm not sure, like Buzz said, if they're going to keep it. It's a good idea to put it at 150, especially in the beta, because like you said, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get the money around to do it right away. I would like it to increase per declaration that you do make, I will agree. Now, the no upkeep cost, though, I'm not a big fan of that myself. What if you're declaring a war on someone that you just want to troll the hell out of? I mean, I could see issues going on with that sense right there. But in terms of what it is currently and how they decreased it, if they keep it that way, I can understand it actually, because it makes it so you can enable PvP a little bit more often. You can go out and have fun in that sense a lot more than what you could if it was a million. As the game goes on, true, a million's not going to be too much. It's not going to be that bad to get, but it still makes it so you can just continuously have fun.
Yeah, that's, and I personally, I've seen a couple pop up in beta so far, and I'm kind of interested. I don't know, guys. Have you seen anybody actually take over anything yet?
I believe it's enabled.
But node wars and stuff? No, they don't. I don't think they're enabled right now.
Okay. With that being said, sorry, I'm just trying to scroll through some stuff at the moment. How does everybody feel about the events that we've been having, like the horse catching? I know that a hot topic around here, and SARS, I promise I'll take you to my secret fishing spot later, has been the finding and the catching of the beltfish. I didn't really have an issue getting that done. I know Kinu got it done as well. So, Kinu, what are your thoughts so far on the day-to-day events that we've been seeing?
The events are actually pretty fun, I think. It's nice that the GMs are getting involved in a couple of them. It makes it so you get to know them a little bit better. So that's a nice plus right there. For the beltfish one, I had fun there. I got there. My plan was just to catch a beltfish, get out of there. Spent the next 14 hours there retaining my number one spot at fishing. It kind of drags you in to do something like that.
Stole
it's
all my
extremely
beltfish.
fun. Stole a couple of your beltfish. Sorry about that. Well, I mean, it's nice that they're for instance, the dye one. They're giving you dyes. You can actually experience that. You can go and see how it looks on your stuff, and it's really cool if they did that. Joska, I believe, was the one spawning in the horses, so you can go and catch the horses. These events are really good, so you can actually learn the game without having to spend too much time or too much money on it. So I actually like what they're doing right there.
I totally agree with you. I had fun dyeing stuff last night. I wish I would have gotten a wider selection of dyes so that I could have, not look like a Crayola box, but that happened. SARS, what about you? What's your feedback on the events?
I think this is so awesome that, the CM and the GMs are actually getting involved with the community directly and not just through forums or listening to feedback and implementing it, but actually standing out there, spawning horses, making the game, fun and seeing what can be pushed to the limits, but also involving themselves. I think it's really great that they do that because it just ties the community together even more. They're like the gods, I guess. The gods are coming down to greet us, and we all little peons love it.
Yeah.
I just want to say, hats off to Jessica. The schedule that he is keeping with interacting with spawning the horses and changing the weather and interacting, it is really good to see. Like everybody else has said, that you have that interaction and that helps the community as a whole. And I just want to thank him for the work that he's done during closed beta.
All right, Zemi, what about you? How's your experience been so far?
Well, you see, I actually, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, is it's just been a really rough week for me to be able to play. But I mean, in general, from what I've heard, what I've seen, talking to the guildies and whatnot, I gotta say that it's nice. Like I'm an old school gamer. I've been playing MMORPGs for 20 plus years now. And I gotta say, it's nice to see Jouska really, really involved. I don't really want to trash talk the old CM, but Jouska's more involved than I've seen, and it's nice to see that, because I haven't seen it in a lot of MMOs in a long time, and it kind of reminds me of some of the old school games I've played and whatnot, where the GMs and the CMs are really, really involved, but that was because they were players as well. And Jouska said that he's been a player for a very, very long time, so it's really, really nice to see him very involved in the community and being hands-on, playing the game and knowing, not gonna talk about that one CM in that one game. But someone who didn't know jack about the game and was talking like he knew the game. But I think that Jessica's really good. He's really knowledgeable. I've had the privilege to talk to him a little bit in emails and stuff like that. He's really cool from what I've seen, and he's a player, and it's nice to have a CM that is a player.
Yeah, and
it's very promising.
I've noticed that too, a lot of it. He is very, very visible within our community currently, and I love seeing that fact. I mean, I had no clue about the events, honestly, when I got in, and I was out, I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was doing a quest or something, and then all of a sudden I just saw him run by. I'm like, hey, I know that. And then all of a sudden there were horses. And I mean, by horses, they were everywhere, as far as the eye could see. I do know that there are a couple of events coming up. I'm just going to touch quickly on those. Saturday, December 19th, running from 8 p.m. till tomorrow, Sunday, December 20th, we have Shadows Looming. This event will show everyone why it's dangerous to go alone into the night. Ooh, bees. I'm telling you right now, it's all about the bees, okay? Fair warning, guys. Spoiler alert, it's bees. No, just shitting you. I don't really know. There are monsters in the world that are simply too powerful for any one person to face without allies. Hopefully we'll see some people get gathered up and challenge this stuff. The other one,
a feeling.
I have
a feeling I know what it is.
Is it only one left?
Do you have more
I have
one
a feeling
I know what it is.
Oh.
Just one.
Just one? Okay.
Besides my Christmas spirit, but I have a feeling it's gonna be Zaka.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now.
Well, I know that they had Zaka on EU earlier today. One of the members we have that's playing on EU. He said that it got to a point where everybody just gave up and started waving flags because they weren't high enough level. They didn't have the gear. It wasn't even scratching, and so.
Wow.
I got a game plan for this whole thing. I know how I'm going to roll it out, the same way that I roll everything lately because, well, let's just face it, I am who I am. I'm going to use my human meat shield. Kinu, you and I tonight. All right, bro?
Haven't died yet.
You pew, and I'll stand back and heal, right? And when I say heal,
I don't think you heal. I think you just run when they're going against them. Like, I'm like, Brenzel, help. Brenzel! I'm ready halfway to town.
Yep.
Something that I'm not sure if they have the capability of, I think would be awesome. Other games have had. If the GMs do have some way of taking control over the boss and be able to, so that way you're not dealing with a static AI. I remember that happening in EverQuest where the GM would actually take over Inaruk or Kazakhtul, and he would be shouting out actual people's names and talking smack to us while we were fighting them. And it broke up the monotony of knowing, okay, now's the time for him to enrage, and now he's going to do this. That he would actually target somebody and go chase them, like the enchanter that's sitting in the background that does nothing during when we are fighting him. That would be awesome. That would be amazing.
That would be.
I think the other event that we got going on tonight is the Festival of Lanterns, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God. No, I'm sorry, but Jessica just got smacked by the mod bot.
Oh God. Okay. Can we fix fix that, please?
Oh, that's
I
a
got the
good
picture,
screenshot, though.
I like the screenshot though.
That is really nice.
Can my moderator please cut and paste that link? That would be great. Shit. Sorry about that. We'll get that rectified right away. Back to the Festival of Lanterns. The announcement of darker, more realistic nights sparked a lot of great feedback from the community. The fourth event invites everybody to make their way to Sardina. I'm not saying that right. I know that. To the south of Hydel, or the Temple of Agris, west of Villia. In the dead of the night, in channels 1 and 3, for the duration of this event, you will get to experience the new stormy night weather effect. Oh yeah, dude. I like it. I like the way that they word these things and the way that it sounds. I'm excited. All right, yeah, there we go. We got Jessica modded. So everybody's going to be in on these, right? Everybody, we're all participating.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely am. I'm gonna bring my lantern. I'm gonna make sure it's not gone. That'd be bad. Walking in the
I
dark.
have like 3. I have like 3.
Can I have one?
I I have an assistant who keeps telling me that I need to buy a lantern, and then every time we go somewhere, he fails to remind me to buy the lantern.
I say general store like enough, I think.
Sorry. You said the stable hand?
Yeah, that works too.
Okay, perfect. Jesus. Oh man. All right, guys. Well, I think that we're gonna start wrapping up the show for this week. Let everybody get back into CBT1 and have some more fun. Make sure that you follow us. It's the only way to get in when we do cool things and know that we're on. We will be back next Saturday. Bum bum bum. Boxing Day special. Yeah.
It's Christmas, not Boxing Day. You take your European thing and go somewhere else.
Canadian.
It's same thing. One of my British buddies yesterday at work was like, "Hey, do you celebrate Boxing Day?" I'm like, "What the hell is Boxing Day?"
Dude, it's like what the frick is Black Friday? All of a sudden in Canada, we're doing Black Friday on like a Monday. I'm like, dude, we're not America. I don't understand it.
No, this is being Christmas. Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas, not Boxing Day.
Fair enough. All right, guys, I'm going to take a few minutes to thank you for tuning into the stream. Make sure you follow everybody. I know that there are a lot of people that will be actively streaming again tonight. I know I will be, and Kenny, you'll probably be running with me. Buzz, are you going to be on tonight?
Oh yeah. I still have the personal goal of doing all of the bag quests so I can get that guide done.
Nice. Zemi, are you streaming tonight?
Yes, I will be. I'll try to do tonight. I gotta take a nap, man. At some point, I'm dying.
Santa can't sleep, dude. What about all the little children?
Santa's gonna have his milk, cookies, and a nap.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you once again for tuning in. Make sure you click the little follow button down there. And we appreciate your support and tuning in. Yeah, see? Yeah, the pointy. He's playing with his beard. It's all good. For all things BDO related, make sure you hop on over to blackdeserttome.com. If you have comments, questions, concerns, or just want to generally bullshit, hop into the forums. Make sure you let us know. We'll definitely take those under advisement for sure. If you're looking for past episodes, you can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/blackdeserttome-en. This one will be up there shortly. We will see you next Saturday, same time, same channel, and I don't know, maybe we'll do something festive. Maybe we'll get some costumes on and drink some eggnog and have some fun.
I can dress as an elf. Can I be your elf, Semi?
Santa is gonna be having a big bottle of Christmas cheer for next week's show.
So that's what they call it.
Awesome.
I have all the Christmas cheer.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you check us out next week. Rock on.
Thanks, guys.